Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Ian, and as you know, it's Tuesday here on Coast to Coast TV. This week, as you know, is React Week, and as you saw on Friday, Christina wanted me to react to creepy childhood TV conspiracies. So what I did is I just googled childhood TV show conspiracies, and I am going to read them out loud and tell you what I think of them. So the first one up on this site that I found is The Smurfs is actually a thinly veiled allegory for white supremacy and anti-Semitism. And supposedly the white hats are actually supposed to be a reference to the KKK. And I think that's stupid. Like, I don't think that's what it is. I mean, it kind of would make sense considering that the Smurfs started back in, like, I think it was like the 70s or the 80s or something. I don't know. I just know, like, my brothers watched it. My mom watched it. My mom's not that young, so it's kind of old. And then Papa Smurf is supposed to be his red hat's supposed to be a reference to those worn by the Grand Wizards of the Ku Klux Klan. Okay, and then supposedly they did the Hail Hitler thing, and Smurf is supposed to be a representation of that Aryan race that Hitler was going for. I don't get this. It's kind of stupid. And then it kind of makes sense because though Utopia's only threat is a big-nosed, greedy Jew called Gargamel who wanted to turn them into gold. And then his cat, Israel, has a bona fide Hebrew name. Now I think about it, that kind of makes sense. I mean, I don't know if this is true, but it kind of makes sense. And then there was apparently a comic strip where the Smurfs caught a disease that made them turn black and speak in monosyllabic grunts, which is kind of awkward because apparently it's supposed to like represent like the African like tribes that don't speak English or whatever. I'm going to skip over this Aladdin one because I don't really get it. Oh, apparently that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is a metaphor for something. And apparently Will actually died shooting some basketball outside of school. And that rare cab that he takes to Bel-Air is supposedly a ride to an afterlife resembling uptown Los Angeles. He even refers to it as his kingdom. And then he has loads of crazy adventures with his guardian angel relative hybrids in heaven, and only sees his mom on special occasions, which is when she's visiting his grave. And as that page says, I think whoever came up with this really needs to lay off the drugs, because that's kind of crazy. He's just supposed to be a system kid who's getting out of the ghetto and going into a rich world where he can become something of himself. It's not any deeper than that. Okay. And then apparently Scooby-Doo is set in an extreme economic depression. And supposedly it's because there are so many abandoned houses, warehouses, general building in Scooby-Doo. And it's because it's like supposed to be set in like some kind of like economic recession or something. And now normally respected individuals such as museum curators, professors, celebrities, and whoever are forced into a life of crime and developed very advanced skills in the application of prosthetic makeup. I don't know. I think that's kind of a stretch. And then here's one. In Ed, Edd and Eddy, all the kids are actually ghosts roaming in purgatory. And supposedly the cul-de-sac where all the kids lived were cursed. All the youngins died before their time in the same area during different times between 1900 and 2000. That's why the kids have no parents. They're in purgatory, chilling together in the afterlife. Not convinced. Remember Rolf, who had the crop fetish and spent all his time tending that? Well, he died in 1903 and lived on the grounds before they were developed and is still harboring his old-time farming ideas. Johnny and Plank joined him in the 20s, and 10 years later, along came Eddie, money-obsessed and scheming due to the Great Depression of the 30s. A dollar still makes him hollow. Even in limbo, Sarah and Ed grew up in World War II, and Ed brought his love for comics that were growing in popularity post-war with him into the spirit world. Naz was basically a 70s slag, living it up with all that hippie laid-back stuff. She was all for the free love, hence her flirty 2D eyelash batting, and then Eddie died in some boring way in the late 80s, and Kevin was from the 90s. Then Jimmy joined them, and they all lived happily ever after, parentless and unaware they were ghosts. You need to lay off drugs. Whoever came up with that theory, you need to lay off drugs, because that's basically the only way that you could get all of that from a simple kids TV show. Just putting that out there. And then here's one about SpongeBob. SpongeBob, every character in SpongeBob is a metaphor for different types of narcotic. SpongeBob's vicious mood swings are a result of his addiction to methamphetamine. Patrick is dopey, laughs at dumb stuff, and always has the munchies because he's constantly at the bong. Irritable Squidward is on heroin, and Mr. Krabs is just a massive cokehead. Come on, just look at how trippy Bikini Bottom is, flipping burgers underwater, Krabs having killer whales for dollars, a meowing snail. Sounds legit. This theory sounds legit. You need to lay off drugs. I seriously need to find these people who come up with these theories and put them in some nice rehabilitation facilities, because you're obviously on something that you need to get off of. Because how can you get these theories from simple kids shows? They're not supposed to have any deep meaning to them. They're just stupid things for kids to watch and laugh at. Like, where are you getting these things from? So I think I'll just read one more, and then I think I'll be done. Okay, this Rugrats one I've seen before. This one's not new, but it's pretty interesting. I still think, like, whoever came up with it is on drugs, but it's pretty interesting. The Rugrats are all manifestations of a 3-year-old psychotic subconsciousness. And supposedly Angelica isn't so much of a brat, and she's more of a toddler who has had a psychological breakdown due to the amount of traumatic events that have plagued the Pickle family, and supposedly none of the Rugrats are real. All of them are figments of a baby's messed up imagination. Apparently Chucky died with his mother, so that's why I explained why his dad was constantly worried about the kid. Tommy was apparently a stillborn whose father is constantly making toys for the child he never had. The DeVille's aborted baby manifested as twins in Angelica's psyche, as she never did find out the gender of the unborn child, hence the identical personalities and clothing. The conspiracy enthusiasts even spread this to all grown-ups, suggesting that Dill was the only real baby, and since Angelica was so mental, she couldn't tell the difference between her delusions and reality. She hit him so hard it led to brain damage and his eternal slowness. You had me until you got to and the DeVilles. Like, I don't get Tommy. I can sort of see Chucky. The DeVilles kind of make sense, though, with, if you never know the gender, you're going to picture a boy and a girl. And it kind of makes sense with, like, their identical personalities and clothing. Like, I've seen that. But the Dill thing, that's just weird. But if you kind of think about it, his head's weirdly shaped, so you never know. But that's it for this video. Check out the rest of their videos, and I dare Becca to look up and react to Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life. Now, I've seen Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life. And I can't wait to see her video, because her reaction to it is going to be quite funny. So check out that video tomorrow, and then the rest of the reactions for all the other stuff for the rest of the week. And go subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and comment down below some of the crazy childhood conspiracies that you've heard of that you either believe or disbelieve, so I can go check them out. And all our links will be in the, or I should say all our Twitter links will be in the description below, and then all my links will be at the end of the video. And just remember, stay tuned, my friends.
Who run the world? Girls, girls. Who run the world?